So, the X-Files movie, or the second X-Files movie, X-Files 2, I believe that's what it said on the ticket thing. Yeah, X-Files 2. Okay, as a preface for this video, in case anybody didn't already know or infer from looking at my, favorite TV show section, I'm a geek. I really am. I love watching, rerun of Star Trek: The Next Generation and Doctor Who and sci-fi shows like that. And so when about 10 years ago, when the first movie came out and when the show was on, I was a huge fan of the show. Like, if I was back in Illinois, I could show you. I had books, magazines. I had a scrapbook thing that I took, the sticky photo stuff where it's a plastic film that you peel and you're not supposed to stick photo. I had pages of that I had as a scrapbook, and all the figurines from the movie, and this collector's movie box with the lifted up, and it came with the script and a making of book and a copy of the movie, and another video that was a making of the movie mini documentary, and posters, postcards, just all sorts of stuff, everything I could get my hands on of the X-Files. And so I still like the show. Obviously, I've changed a lot in the last 10 years, and when I look back and I watch some of the episodes, it's showing its age, not terribly showing its age, but still somewhat, but I still get that nostalgic feeling from watching it, and I still have all my VHS tapes of the show. Anyway, and I should point out for anybody who because I know some people might know or might not know that Richard Dawkins criticized the show. He said that it basically said, this is a show which every week two different views are presented: the supernatural and the rational, skeptical one, and it's almost always, he said always, but in reality it's almost always, the supernatural explanation is correct. And he said, this would be equivalent to a show in which every week there was two suspects for a crime, a black one and a white one, and the black one was always guilty. And he said this was just reprehensible. And I see what Richard Dawkins is getting at. I really do, but I have to be honest and say that he sort of overlooks the fact that a lot of shows don't even bother to it's just a supernatural explanation, or it's a real world type show, and they don't even consider supernatural explanations. The very fact that they put those two, the very fact that Scully was there actually giving rational explanations made it more than just one that was a regular crime drama where it's just normal things, or what would be another supernatural show. I want to say Doctor Who, although that's not really the same sort of scenario, but even Richard Dawkins was in Doctor Who. But I think people understand what I'm saying. Most shows, they wouldn't even have bothered giving the skeptical position. And I have to say, maybe when I was younger, of course, because of the show, and because that, Mulder, just by the nature of the show, that Mulder is usually right, you sympathize with him as a character. But in reality, I would sympathize with Scully as a character. And that is the thing, because when I was watching the show, I never believed in aliens or monsters or any of those other things, and I think that most people don't, although a lot of people do believe in aliens. Not as many people as believe that aliens are possible, but anyway, so I didn't believe in aliens, but the thing is that the show did not introduce me to some, well, I can't say that, but anyway, what I'm getting at here is that the show actually did teach me about skepticism and how a skeptic would approach a situation, and Scully would often give, the alternative answers to what's going on, and it does make you think, even if only for a moment, that maybe Mulder is wrong. And sometimes Mulder is, and sometimes it wasn't supernatural, it was like a freak of nature or something like that. So I think that it did do more good for skepticism, I think, than Richard Dawkins would realize. So anyway, the new movie. My feelings about the movie are somewhat ambivalent. As a fan of the show, yes, I did like it. But I tried to think, what would I say to people who aren't necessarily fans of the show? Well, the interesting thing is that the first movie, I think, was... I think they're obviously both fan movies, but the first movie, I think you really did benefit from, as far as understanding the plot, you really did benefit from seeing previous, at least the myth arc episodes of the show. Whereas this new movie, you need absolutely no previous knowledge in terms of the plot. It's a totally standalone movie. But the strange thing is that this movie, even though the plot is standalone, I think it would be obvious to anybody else who's seen it that the majority of the movie really turns on the relationship between Mulder and Scully, and the plot is there, but it's not the heart of the movie. So in that sense, I think that people would get more out of the movie from understanding the kind of full scope and depth of the relationship between these two characters than if they had, come to the movie, like the first movie, come to it dry, and okay, if they're clever and they pay enough attention, they can, get it, and there is interaction between the characters, but the movie doesn't turn on it. But in this movie, it's like, I think to fully appreciate it, you really do need a sense of who these characters are in relation to each other and where they've been in that sort of thing. But on the other hand, I will have to say that because these two actors have played these two characters for so long, that you even if you don't fully understand it from having watched the show, you will it will come across to you. It won't be lost. It's obvious. The second thing is that I thought that my one main criticism of the movie was that it was sort of like, after all that you think that they would pull out something that had a sense of mythic scope. This movie was very down to earth. It was it seemed like a departure from the previous tone of the X-Files, which was more, watch it for yourself. But it seemed like a departure towards a more literal type of movie. And so the lack of epic tone, which I kind of felt that it was warranted for bringing these characters out of retirement or whatever. And other than that, I think they could have done more to dramatize the plot and give a greater sense of the ticking clock and that sort of thing. Plot-wise, it's, I thought what would be a comparable movie, like Silence of the Lambs. So the Silence of the Lambs is many, many times darker than this movie, obviously. So I thought that they could have done a better job of making the movie a bit more tense. But so yeah, I did like it though. As a fan of the show, and I think that people would enjoy it even if they weren't fans of the show. if they weren't huge fans, to be perfectly honest, I don't think this is going to blow anybody who didn't already like the show away. But I don't think anybody is going to be like hating it either. So I'm probably running out of time here, so that's it.